Larry, I'm fascinated with what you said. So we have connect, convey, create. Let's stay on
Hmm.
connect for a little bit because we were just
Sure.
talking about how the face says so much when we meet somebody. So maybe you could
There,
dive in a little bit more.
well, there's so many elements. It is facial affect is how we use our face. But in this day and age, when so many people are on their phones, they've lost facial affect. It's deteriorated because you're just doing this. You're
Right.
looking down at your phone,
Yes.
and of course you are. Now, I have to point this out. You, Deirdre, are using facial affect, which is good, which is fantastic. But
And it's
a
hard to
lot of
see
people,
yourself on camera, by the way. A lot of people don't
it's
want to see how they look or don't want to see themselves on video
hard.
or TV.
Well, we want to let go of all the things that we're afraid of and focus on the things that connect us to people. First and foremost, we're talking semiotic here. We're talking about non-spoken signaling. And the first is eye contact. In the 5-day challenge that I'm doing shortly here online in the next couple of weeks, there's some specific techniques that are very simple. We don't have time to go into them here, but I'll cover some other things. How you can learn to make eye contact so easily, and it's very powerful. And I can tell you where I learned it from. You would think it's so obvious. I was working with Academy Award winning actor Timothy Hutton on a film.
Oh.
And we were working on some stuff, and we've been working all day, and we were in Malibu, California. And it was getting to be evening. He said, "Oh, you want to get something to eat?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So we drove down to a local restaurant. Now we're in Malibu. It's a Friday night. The place is packed, and everyone there except me is really famous. So it doesn't matter that he's Timothy Hutton. Doesn't matter. But I see him go up and speak to the hostess, and there's people all around her, and there's noise, and he speaks to her for a couple minutes. Then he gestures at me and says, "Oh, they'll seat us right now." And I was like, "Okay, Tim, you have to tell me exactly what you just did." He said, "I made direct eye contact with her." And I said, "Okay, I don't get it. I don't understand." He said, "Well, everyone here is so full of themselves, and they're talking to her, and they aren't even really looking at her. Their face is sort of close to her." He said, "But I looked directly at her so that she could see I see her." I said to her, "Oh, pretty wild tonight. It's really jammed." And she said, "Yes, yes." And he said, "Well, it's all right. We'll just, hang out until you tell us you can." He was practicing a couple things. One, he was making eye contact. He was also practicing active listening, which we'll get into a little bit later because that involves some stuff that is spoken. But another element of facial affect, so powerful. When you start to be aware of these things, and Todd was mentioning the importance of this being technique. I could not agree with him more. I don't want you thinking there's something mystical or spiritual or some complicated thing that you can't quite understand. No, I want really simple, practical things that anyone can do. And I'll give you an example right now. A very simple thing you can do to improve your facial affect. I didn't plan this to be this way, but I seem to have worked with a lot of people who won Academy Awards as best actors. And eventually I figured out, oh, they might know something I could benefit from. I'm a little slow on the uptake sometimes. So, there's an actor named Carl Malden who won an Academy Award for Streetcar Named Desire with Marlon Brando, and then
Oh,
I think
yes.
won another Academy Award for On the Waterfront, also with Brando. And he was a lovely man, and this guy had done everything and starred on Broadway in Streetcar for years with Brando. And I said to him at one point, I said, "Carl, I can't see what you're doing." And he said, "I don't know what you mean." I said, "Every time I see you in a film, you're great, you're a different character, but I can't see what you're doing." He said, "That's very easy, very simple." I was like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." He said, "It's very simple. You just have to learn your material so well that you can stop thinking about it. So then you're
Because then you're not in
free.
your head anymore.
Exactly. Deirdre, you get it. That when you're thinking, oh, what's the next thing I say? And then should I say this? And then what if no, you have to learn it. And Carl said, you have to be able to learn it. So if you're woken up from a dead sleep and someone gives you a cue line, you just pick right up and you go with it. Now, this sounds challenging, of course, but it isn't really. It means preparation. Now, I've said this because sometimes people take me too literally. I don't mean that you have to do this in every communication. If you're ordering a hamburger, you can just say, I'd like a hamburger.
Hamburger.
But when you're, yes, but when you're making a presentation or you're interviewing someone or you're dealing with your employees, or maybe you're the employees dealing with your boss, or you're dealing with investors, or, all these things that are serious, the amount of time you put in preparation in advance will serve you so magnificently. And you will be able to then concentrate on things like maintaining eye contact, using facial affect.
Is this still a part of connect, or have you actually moved into convey with the
Well,
preparation?
I think it's funny.
Or both?
It's actually part of a second series of initials that I use. Sometimes I'll say, I want you to learn to live in 3D. And the 3Ds are
Okay.
determine, define, and deploy. And the first D of determine is you must determine what your goal is in communication so that you can do preparation. But there's a great deal of overlap here because, of course, part of connecting with people, I say I never want you to just fire from the hip because it puts too much pressure on you and there's too many ways it can go sideways. I want you
Yes.
to think about this in advance so that when you go to connect with someone, you feel confident and relaxed.
And you
Part
can
of
go
this is,
beyond surface level. What I'm hearing you
well, of
say
course,
with preparation, you're really
well,
going deeper and deeper, and it's becoming a part of you, and their understanding will be deeper as well.
well, even if it isn't as deep their understanding as you would like, you have the connection with them so that you can say, was I clear about that? Or tell me, is there something specifically I can explain better to you? If you don't have the connection with them, you're just spinning your wheels.
And
Now,
Larry, let's just take a pause and we're going to bring you back for another segment.